The headlines. The head of TikTok is grilled by U.S. lawmakers as he tries to convince them that the Chinese-owned app is not a threat to U.S. national security.
Issue whether the company TikTok would commit to not selling its data to anyone and just using it for its own purposes internally.
I can get back to you on the details.
The World Athletics issues new guidance on transgender athletes, saying they cannot compete in the female category at international events. A special report just 700 meters from Russian lines in eastern Ukraine, where soldiers are engaged in brutal trench warfare.
Get in, get down.
That's two Russian shells that have just come in. I think it's tank fire.
And tear gas and dozens of arrests in Paris as protests across France against plans to raise the pension age continue for a 9th day.
Do Kwon, the founder of collapsed cryptocurrencies Terra Luna, is arrested in Montenegro after months on the run.
Starting with Donald Trump. There has been no indictment of the former president over the alleged hush money payments to a porn star. Now, he had predicted he would be arrested on Tuesday, but that didn't happen. The grand jury, which will decide whether or not to bring criminal charges, was apparently not sitting on Tuesday. And that now means that the decision is now unlikely to come before next week at the earliest. The World Athletics Federation says it will not allow transgender women to compete in elite female events to protect the female category. That decision comes after studies into the effect of testosterone levels in athletes born with male sex. It'll go into force at the end of the month.
The Council has agreed to exclude male to female transgender athletes who have been through male puberty from female world ranking competitions from March the 31st this year.
At that meeting, the World Athletics Council also announced that Russian and Belarusian athletes will still be banned from its competitions. Now, the original ban was down to doping offenses, but while that has now been lifted, the invasion of Ukraine means athletes from those two countries will still not be allowed to compete. In Israel, protests against the overhaul of the judicial system have been intensified, with tens of thousands of people on the streets tonight. It's after a law was ratified limiting the circumstances in which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu can be removed from office. They've been months of rallies over the plan to give the government final say on the appointment of the judges and limiting the Supreme Court's powers to strike down laws. Now, gene-edited food can now be developed commercially and sold in England after a change to the law. Supporters of the technology say it will speed up the development of hardier crops that will be needed because of climate change. However, critics say that change could bring disaster to food production and the environment.